begin. My name is Doug Jones, Chairman of the Board of the Western Stock Show Association, and we are so happy to be in person. On behalf of the Board of Directors, welcome to the 2022 annual lunch. This is great. None of us took to being virtual very well, so we're glad to be in person like the old days. So thank you for being here today. Got a great group, great crowd. These last 2 years have been very unusual, to say the least. The National Western Stock Show is the foundation of our Western heritage, and our Western heritage is our identity, and our identity are our values as Westerners. It is our responsibility to educate and celebrate the West at all times, its values, its spirit, and the freedoms that go with it. Thank you for your support and confidence in this extraordinary organization that's almost 117 iconic years of history. We will always remain committed to education, innovation in agriculture, and entertainment, which is our way of celebrating our Western heritage. You will hear today we have successfully navigated the rocky waters and headwinds of these past 2 years and are ready for our future and the opportunities that come with it. In addition to the change in physical improvements, we need to be mindful of educating future generations and newcomers about the West and those certain values that make Westerners who we are. This meeting is held pursuant to a notice mailed to all members not less than 10 days prior to the meeting date. Pursuant to the bylaws, members may attend this meeting either in person or by proxy. We have counted the proxies received and have taken a roll call of those in attendance as they entered. I will now ask the Secretary to give the results of such a roll call. Secretary Mark Gustafson.
Mr. Chairman, we have 245 members present in person, 280 members present by proxy, for a total of 525.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The bylaws call for a quorum of 200. A quorum is present, and this meeting is open for business. First off, let me give a very grateful thank you to the Board of Directors that are on my left, on my right, for their continued and amazing support in very difficult times. Most of those meetings we've had have been in person, so we were able to discuss a lot of issues of the day, and the issues have been unique over these last couple of years, and even the last year in particular. But I want to share my personal thanks to each one of them for their commitment to this organization. Also, I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the senior staff of the National Western Stock Show, led by President and CEO Paul Andrews. Senior staff members include, and they're also right down here to my left, your right, Kyle Bond, Jeff Childs, Clint Chitsey, John Ellis, Leon Vick, and Karen Woods. Thank you for your commitment to our vision, our values, and our mission, and please stand to be recognized for the amazing work and job you all have done. In addition, no great organization as this one does this work without committees. So I'd like at this time to have all committee chairs stand and be recognized as well. Committee structure is obviously the backbone of who we are and what we do. I'm not sure if I saw any elected officials here today, but if there are any, please stand and be recognized. Anybody? Right here. Thank you. As we start our program today, we want to thank and recognize our immediate past chair and chairman emeritus, Pat Grant, and thank him for his decades of service. He has been a mentor and a resource to the Western Stock Show Association and me in particular. We're fortunate to have him still involved in so many ways. Pat, thank you. I also want to recognize former chairman, Ron Williams, and thank him for all he continues to do for the National Western Stock Show. Ron? We also have with us, I think, Director Emeritus, Dr. Marvin Beeman. Dr. Beeman, Marvin? I think he was going to be here, but maybe not. Anyway, thanks to him for all his years of commitment to this organization as well. Since we last gathered, we've lost many friends of the National Western that deserve to be remembered. One of those that we lost was an absolute superstar supporter of the Western Stock Show Association, Nancy Petrie. Nancy was instrumental in making the Citizen of the West dinner become the great dinner that it is today. Nancy rarely missed an annual WSSA lunch and served as a trustee for decades. She was committed to the National Western Stock Show at almost every level. We miss her and appreciate her lifelong commitment to our mission. She was truly a lady of the West. Before we hear from the staff regarding the business affairs of the association, we have a special guest and friend with us today from the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City, Mr. Jeff Ewing. Jeff is the Chief Development Officer and is here with a special announcement. Our relationship with the museum continues to grow, and we see great and bright future as both organizations share a like mind regarding our celebration of Western heritage. Please welcome Jeff to the podium for a special announcement.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. Always enjoy coming to Denver. As Doug said, my name is Jeff Ewing. I'm the Chief Development Officer for the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. I'd like to give a special thanks to Paul, Doug, Pat, and all of the National Western Stock Show for giving me a few minutes to be with you today. The Cowboy is America's premier institution of Western art, history, and culture. Our mission is to preserve, interpret the evolving history of the American West for the education and enrichment of our diverse audiences. Many of you in this room have supported our institution, and we are grateful for that support. And I just met a few new folks that came to one of their first events here this past April. So, one of our missions and objectives is the preservation of the history of rodeo. The Rodeo Historical Society is the organization that does that for us at the museum. The society supports the rodeo programs of the museum, including research, an ongoing oral history project, acquisition of collection materials for our American Rodeo Gallery, and the prestigious Rodeo Hall of Fame. We are dedicated to honoring and memorializing the great performers in rodeo and its related professions, and that is why I'm here today to share with you that one of your own will be honored in November. The Ben Johnson Memorial Award honors a living individual who represents the Western lifestyle and is exemplified by the screen and rodeo legend. The annual award is presented to an individual who has been involved in the rodeo industry, has contributed to its growth and the betterment of pro rodeo, and has been involved in our youth and community activities. Additionally, this individual, like Ben Johnson, creates a positive image for the rodeo and the Western lifestyle. The Ben Johnson Memorial Award is one of the highest honors that can be bestowed on an honoree. This year's honoree showed his first year right here at the age of 15. He has all the qualifications and characteristics that the committee looks for in its honoree. I've gotten to know him over the last few years, and I'm truly honored to be able to present this because he did not know this was going to happen. He knows about the award, but he didn't know I was going to be here today. So, On behalf of the Board of Directors, our Rodeo Committee, and the Rodeo Historical Society, I'm pleased to publicly announce today that our 2022 Ben Johnson Memorial Award honoree is Chuck Sylvester. Chuck will receive his honor during our Rodeo Hall of Fame weekend on November 12th. If you'd like to learn how you can get involved and support this great weekend and support Chuck, see me after the meeting. Chuck, congratulations. We're looking forward to honoring you in November. Thank you for your time and giving me a few minutes here at the National Western. Appreciate it.
Chuck, congratulations. Thank you for what you've done and what you continue to do, and we look forward to being with you in November. That's outstanding. Jeff, thank you for being with us today in Denver as well. Now I'd like to take a moment to recognize those members that have passed. Please remove cover and bow your heads. William Bill Angel, Dennis Gallagher, Charles Buddy Hersig, Gail Katz, Edward Lehman, James Jimmy Linthium, Randall Lorcher, Charles Martin, William Bill McHale, C.W. McMillan, Edward Bill Sorrell, William Bill Sinclair, George Spencer, Peter Teets, Dave Wallert, Mary Wood. Thank you. The bylaws call for the reading of the minutes of the 2021 virtual annual meeting. The secretary has those minutes and will ask him to read the same, but do I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes? Moved, I hear a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Before calling for a vote on the motion, I've already called for that, but I'd like to make everyone aware of the fact that those minutes are available in the offices if you so need to read them. At this time, I'd like to read any resolutions passed by the board. However, there were no resolutions passed by the board, so we'll dispense with that as well. Next item of business is a report of the President, and now invite to the stage our President and CEO, Paul Anders. I'd like to personally thank Paul for his incredible leadership and patience these past COVID years. I am sure Paul never thought he would see and talk to a chairman as much as we've talked in these last 3 years. Paul, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure to work with you. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Paul Anders.
Okay, how about it? We're in the stadium arena, we're amongst friends, we're having fun. Let's watch a quick video so you can be reminded of how great the National Western Stock Show really is. probably the most difficult year we've had with the many challenges we had. But before I do that, I want my assistant to stand and be recognized. She put this whole thing together today. And listen, we can't do it without her. Annalise, will you stand up and be recognized? Those of you that know Annalise Pippin know she's never had a bad day. And let me tell you, it's unbelievable to have her working with us here at the National Western. Her attitude's infectious, and I love that about her. So this year, 2022, as I said, it was a challenge. I'm going to list some of those challenges that we overcame, but just know I'm ending on a high note here. All 16 days of our show were at 30% for the Omicron variant. So the entire state of Colorado, 30% of them had Omicron during stock show. We were the only major livestock show in the country that had a mask mandate in place, and the health department monitored us daily. We opened 2 new areas of the complex, the new Stockyards Event Center and the new yards. And although those were amazing and are amazing facilities, it was all new for our operation, and that causes a learning curve that we had to overcome. We were also unable to hire the amount of staff necessary to host a show of our size, and that caused many challenges as well. However, given all those challenges, we hosted more than 586,000 guests here at Stock Show, and we set this place up for future success for the 117th show to get back to over 700,000 visitors, and I'm certain it will. After the pandemic, our livestock show has a new competition in January. The Cattlemen's Congress is hosting their cattle show, overlapping our dates. Despite this added show, we had tremendous success with our entries at the show. We hosted many new sales, including embryos on snow and the return of the Western Elite Female Sale, which will now be long-term fixtures in Denver. They were more than excited to be here, and their results were tremendous. We've already heard from the Hereford Association and the Maine Anjou Associations that they will again host their national shows in Denver at the 2023 show, and we expect many more announcements on national shows coming up soon. Our horse show attendance was very strong, led by freestyle reining, the Grand Prix, Gambler's Choice, dancing horses, and of course the draft show. A very good year under difficult circumstances. Exciting news for next year that we have on the docket for 2023 is we're creating the National Western Elite Horse Sale, and we've partnered with Western Bloodstock as the sale manager. They are the best in the business, and we will have 50 to 70 ranch horses to sell on opening day of stock show in the paddock of the event center. For those of you looking for a great horse to ride, solid horse, please consider that on opening day. Cash flows for the association, I'm excited to say, were very strong, exceeding $2 million this year. Most of this number was driven by the decreases in salary costs and other expenses that were a result of the pandemic. We did not host Rodeo All-Star Weekend in the 2021 year, and we're in our fiscal year here, and we did not host the Denver County Fair. But we did bring back Rodeo All-Star Weekend just a few weeks ago. That will be part of our next year's cycle for the fiscal year. We had tremendous success just a month ago in April. Our sponsorship department set another all-time record in cash revenue. They eclipsed $3 million and landed our first ever presenting rights partner in Centura Health. Thank you, Centura Health, for your confidence in us and leading the way as our first ever presenting partner. We truly appreciate each and every sponsor, as they are one of the keys to the success of the National Western Stock Show. Our complex show business from February to December was way, way better than we expected. We were not open until May of 2021. Many of you will remember when we started closing down in 2020. It was about March. We did a homeless shelter for a while. I'm just kind of going through some revisionist history. We couldn't reopen until 2021, and it was about May, and then we had some parameters. So the Complex Show team did an amazing job. We ended at $3.6 million in revenue in a partial year. That equaled our 2020 full fiscal year. So that, quite frankly, is an amazing job by our Complex group. Last time we were together in person, we did announce the formation of the National Western Denver Scholarship Program. That scholarship program will now support 18 students in 2022, and these are graduates of high schools in the city and county of Denver. This is another example of our commitment to education and agriculture, and it will be a program that will continue to grow over time. Our volunteer program, it just continues to amaze us all. Many of you volunteers are out here in the audience today. We have over 700 volunteers in the program. They save the association about $1 million every year in salary costs. That is amazing. We're starting many new volunteer service areas this year that can serve year-round, so we encourage members to become volunteers if at all possible. Many members reach out to me and ask, Paul, how can I get more involved? And I know a lot of you don't want to work a long shift during stock show because you love it, right? Just like I do. So we do have year-round member opportunities in our volunteer program. I'd encourage you all to look into those. There's a chocolate cowboy hat on your table that has all the information on that for those of you that like to become members or like to become part of our volunteer committee. Thanks to Kelly Lombardi and her many leaders for their great work in what was a challenging year. The Scholarship Trust events, all of them had an amazing year. We had an all-time high set in the junior livestock auction with nearly $1.2 million of animals sold. That is an amazing figure. Coors Western Art Show and Sale had a great year, selling $900,000 worth of art. Just a little bit shy of that figure, but that's an amazing figure. Citizen West Dinner was again sold out as we honored our former chairman of the board, Mr. Ron Williams. Due to the never-ending work of our board, all of the committees, all of you in this room, and our volunteers, the Trust will distribute more than $550,000 to support 110 students this year. That is great support of students, which we should all be very proud. I want to publicly thank the chairman of the Trust, Mr. J.J. Amet, and all the trustees that are here today for their continued stewardship of these funds. Well, let's have a round of applause for supporting 110 students this year, guys. Speaking of trust, the Trust and students that have come through the Trust, we have put many, many successful leaders into the workforce through the past few decades with our Scholarship Trust. One of those former students is here with us today. This time I'd like to welcome to the stage truly a special part of the National Western Stock Show family to say a few words about the impact the National Western has had on her life. She is the reigning Miss Rodeo Colorado and a former scholarship recipient that graduated, yes, from Colorado State University. Please welcome Miss Ashley Baller to the stage.
Well, good afternoon. What an honor and a true pleasure it is to be with you all again. The National Western Stock Show runs so deep through my soul, and I couldn't be more excited to be standing in front of here with you all today to tell you why it makes me so passionate and why I'm excited about the future of the National Western and the impact that the Scholarship Trust has had on my life. So as Paul had mentioned, my name is Ashley Baller, and I'm Miss Rodeo Colorado 2022. I grew up in Parker, Colorado, where I was involved in 4-H. In fact, I am a first-generation cowgirl, so the first in my family to become involved with agriculture, and 4-H really paved the way for success in my life. I grew up showing horses in the all-around and ranching events, and also was a local rodeo royalty participant for 5 years. Upon graduating from high school, I went to Colorado State University, where I majored in equine science with minors in business and Spanish. And I made it my goal my senior year to graduate from college completely debt-free, of which I was able to do largely in part to the National Western Stock Show Scholarship Trust, because that paved the way for a lot of success in my tuition each year. And throughout my years at CSU and applying for many, many scholarships, on each application I wrote my dream job, which I was very blessed to achieve right out of school. I started working for the American Quarter Horse Association International Department, where I was the manager of multilingual resources and communication. So in that role, my primary job was to grow the breed globally. I specialized within the Spain and Latin American regions and worked daily with people within 37 different affiliate countries and 137 different countries across the globe. However, the Turquoise Crown was calling, which is where you find me here today, and I took a big risk to leave my career for a dream, which I am very grateful that I did. But what's important here is what the National Western Stock Show has been to me throughout all of my life here, because it's been with me every step of the way. As I've mentioned, I was a local rodeo royalty participant for 5 years, and each year I volunteered over 100 hours at the National Western Stock Show. I knew that I needed scholarships if I wanted to go to a university, and so I had that in mind as a volunteer. Upon going to CSU, I became a National Western Scholarship recipient, but that certainly was not enough, so I followed that up with 3 different internships here at the National Western Stock Show. I was the administrative intern, the organizational development intern, and finally, the capital campaign intern with the wonderful Angela Laurence. And finally, I was able to bring that full circle as Miss Rodeo Colorado. There was nothing I wanted more than to enter the Coliseum with the Colorado flag and stand under the bright lights while the national anthem was sang. And even beyond that, the National Western brought me back home for my Miss Rodeo Colorado fundraiser in February. As I'd mentioned, I had to leave my career for this, so for National Western being so gracious for allowing me to have this space, I was so thankful. And I'm thankful for my community. And what's important is the National Western Scholarship Trust doesn't just provide funds. It provides an outlet for people like myself to express their passions and to find their paths. Because not only are they providing tuition dollars, but also an experience during the show for students to network, meet their community, and build a community to truly understand the impact that they can have on the rest of the world. And I am a living, breathing example of what the positive benefits are of the National Western Scholarship Trust. I'm taking the skills that I learned as an intern, as a volunteer, and as a scholarship recipient, and then throughout my experience internationally, to bring that home domestically, to play a major role in growing the agricultural, rodeo, and equine industries right here in Colorado and throughout the nation. I'll be traveling 50,000 miles throughout this year to over 100 different rodeo performances, civic and school events, promoting our Western heritage, the passions we share, and the loyalty that we have to the National Western Stock Show and beyond. One of my major passions is to increase the collaboration between Spanish and English speakers within our community. I can't wait to continue to impact a larger demographic, and I thank you all for believing in people like me to carry on the legacies and the traditions that we celebrate and wish to preserve.
Wow. Does that say it all? That's why we do what we do, and this is the product, and we're so proud of her. She's been a great, great ambassador. She's here every day during Stock Show for hours at a time. So, Ashley, thanks for being here. Thanks for what you do for all of us. Next up to the podium to report on our financial affairs of the association is Staff Vice President of Finance, Jeff Childs. Jeff?
Thank you, Doug. Good afternoon. The Treasurer's Report for fiscal year ending March 31, 2022 resulted with the following. Revenues of $36.8 million as compared to $7.2 million in '21, and expenses of $22.5 million as compared to $10.1 million in '21. Now the comparison between '21 and '22, you'll notice there's large increases in both revenues and expenses, and that's due because we did not have our stock show in '21. Revenues in '22 included $6.4 million worth of COVID relief funds. $3.5 million of that came from the state of Colorado, $1.4 from the payroll protection program, $1.5 for the employee retention program. Scholarship revenue was over $3 million for the first time in stock show history. Ticket sales in our ticketed events were down 9% from 2020, but attendance was down 18%. So ticket sales came back fairly strong. Salary expense was also down $1.4 million from fiscal year 2020, and that was due to COVID restrictions and just all the hiring challenges that we were having. The net change in net assets from operating activities resulted in a positive change of $14.3 million, less long-range planning cost of $120,000, and then we also paid $25 million to the city for our capital campaign, for a total overall decrease in net operating assets of $10.8 million. The balance sheet shows a strong cash position of $7 million in the operating account and $22.7 million in the capital campaign account. The association was able to maintain its cash through the pandemic and did not have to use any of our funds from our investment account, nor did we have to borrow on our line of credit. Total liabilities increased over prior year by $6.4 million. This is due to several payables that were paid in April of '22, and we also got a conditional capital campaign donation, which must be recorded as deferred revenue until the condition is met. Working capital, which is current assets minus current liabilities, is $30 million with a capital ratio of 4.4. Cash flow provided by operations was $12.5 million as compared to a negative $3 million in the prior year. EBITDA from operations was $2 million as compared to 3.6 negative in the prior year. The Scholarship Trust again awarded 110 scholarships in the amount of $550,000. The total asset value of the trust is just over $15.2 million. So that concludes the Treasury Report for '22. Thank you very much.
So that's a pretty good summary of the past year's day-to-day operations. As you all know, we are also working hard in planning the National Western Center as it takes its next really important steps in the development. This new center will allow us to survive for the next 100 years and thrive in a state-of-the-art complex that will be celebrated by the world. Let me outline some of the important developments this past year regarding the National Western Center. First, we celebrated the grand opening of the new Seal and Ron Williams Yards and the H.W. Hutchison Family Stockyards Event Center. The first ever yards with powered every pin, tempered water in the wash racks, a state-of-the-art arena, the Stowell Whitwer Memorial Show Arena, and a state-of-the-art sale arena with the Wagner Equipment Company Auction Arena. These new facilities are setting a new standard around the country for livestock shows, and we will continue to grow our show as these assets become more celebrated throughout the country. We're currently working on the final design of the new Livestock Center, which will break ground this year and is scheduled for completion prior to the 2025 National Western Stock Show. It'll have nearly 200,000 square feet of barns and 3,000 seats for a multi-purpose show arena. That will break ground, as I said, this year. We continue to work with the city on design and the financial solutions to the new Equestrian Center, as that facility represents the final piece of phases 1 and 2 at the National Western Center. We expect announcements this year regarding the next steps on the Equestrian Center and are very optimistic moving forward. Next, we'll break ground this September on the new home of the Western Stock Show Association, our world headquarters known as the Legacy Building. We continue to fundraise for all the Phase 1 and 2 buildings, as well as the Legacy Building. You'll be getting a video update from Pete Coors momentarily, a little bit later in the program. And finally, CSU really has made some progress this year. They will complete all 3 of their buildings in the next 12 months and likely sooner. They will have a grand opening this June for the Terra building. That will be open to the public, and all of you on our email club will get that information for the June ribbon cutting of that building. So these are just a few of the highlights regarding the National Western Center we're working on moving forward. I appreciate each and every person in this room. Without you, we cannot, and I repeat, we cannot do the National Western Stock Show. And your support means more than you know. I just love looking out here and seeing the faces that are here and knowing the passions that's in this room. So thank you all. And I invite back up our chairman of the board, Mr. Doug Jones.
Now direct your attention to the screens, and our chairman of our capital campaign, Pete Coors, is going to give us all an update on the capital campaign.
Thank you, and let me start by giving a tip of my hat to Doug, Paul, and the entire Western Stock Show Association Board of Directors. You've persevered with grace and grit these last couple of years, and I'm really proud to serve alongside of you. Well, there all of you are in person, and here I am missing you. My foundation business is preventing me from being with you in person. So I decided to tape my message so you could hear directly from me about where we stand today, how the campaign is going, and what's next. I'm coming to you from a familiar territory, the National Western Club Bar. It is as my way of saying, sorry I couldn't be with you in person. I want you to all have a beer on me. So if you haven't already plucked one from the bucket on your table, I encourage you to crack open a yellow jacket, settle in, and let me share some campaign updates. And when I became chair of the campaign, we had a lofty goal of raising $50 million as the cash portion of our commitment to the city. We had $3 million in the bank, thanks to Ron Williams. We had an iconic brand, we had loyal supporters, and we had zero history of raising that kind of money. And of course, the first thing we did was add another $50 million to the campaign goal so we could build the Western Stock Show Association World Headquarters, known as the Legacy Building. And there you go. Our goal was $100 million. Well, I'm pleased to let you know that we're closing in on $100 million. We've some heavy lifting left to do to get there, but it's now well within our sights. I could not be more pleased or gratified to report this to all of you. At this meeting last year, we were close to $80 million. So it has indeed been an incredibly good year. And we have fewer than 800 donors. And I've said in the past, I know there are more than 800 people who love and value this place. So we have lots of opportunities in front of us. For this group, let me share a couple of key stats. So to date, 100% of the trustees have made a gift. Thank you. 25% of our members have contributed, and I encourage all members to participate at any level. Now I want to highlight just a few successes since our last meeting before turning my attention to what's next. I really have to start with the rolling ribbon cutting event we did this past January. In the span of just 47 minutes, we cut 9 ribbons for the named areas, including the Sill and Ron Williams Yards, the H.W. Hutchison Family Stockyards Event Center, thanks to the generosity of Buck and Janie. Then we moved on into the Bev and Bruce Wagner Family West Plaza. Then on to the Nan and Hugh Williamson Entry Plaza. We then moved inside to the Stowe L. Whitwer Memorial Show Arena, then down the hall and around the corner to the Wagner Equipment Company Auction Arena, then up the stairs to the Betty and Carl Bergner Concourse, named in their honor by Bill and Michelle Bergner, then on to Beyond and Jeff Keller's Event and Hospitality Suite, and finally the Hutchison H.W. Brand West Plaza Balcony. Thanks again to the generosity of the Hutchison family. I should also mention that, with the exception of our Bison Pens effort, all yards naming rights were taken. But we did find some time that final Friday of Stock Show to cut one more ribbon on the Del Hensel Bison facility, thanks to the generous support of Bob Deneen and Mike Duncan and Brian Ward. Wow, that made me thirsty all over again, and hold on a minute. Let me again say thank you to all those donors who contributed to the Yards and Stockyards Event Center. Now back to our accomplishments. Our Families of the West program is now sold out. 15 families and their stories will grace the wall of the new Fred and Colleen Orr Western Lounge in the Legacy Building. We launched a new campaign called Companies of the West to allow corporations to participate in the campaign in a different and unique way. This will be a wall on the second floor of the Legacy Building, and when it is sold out, it will net the campaign $7.2 million. We're well on our way to selling out the leather brands, with fewer than 50 remaining. Every major foundation in the state of Colorado has now participated in our campaign, collectively contributed more than $23 million. And finally, we've added 2 new yet familiar faces to our vice chair roster, Bruce Wagner and Stanton Dodge. Thank you both for joining our leadership team. So what's next? As I've written in my monthly campaign roundup, the goal will need to be raised, mainly to accommodate the increased construction costs of inflation and the COVID delay for the Legacy Building, which is now estimated to be about $75 million facility. Once we hit the $100 million mark, which we hope to reach this summer, then the vice chairs and I will evaluate and determine what we'll need to cover the increased construction costs as well as programming dollars, so stay tuned for that news. Our programs continue to be immensely popular ways to participate in the campaign. Our BRICS program will continue to allow people to participate at the $500 level. Even after the leather brands are sold, we'll continue to offer the wooden brands for $1,500. We have our Heritage Horseshoe program designed to allow our equestrian friends to participate at the $1,000 and $2,500 level. Our Women in Agriculture wall will appropriately be housed in the Sue Anschutz Rogers Livestock Center and is a terrific way to pay tribute to women who have had significant roles in ag. Stock Show 2023 is already on our minds. As with this past Stock Show, you'll again find us in campaign headquarters right outside this club. Our focus next year will be on participation, getting as many people to be a part of our campaign as we possibly can. And I want you all to keep an eye out for a save the date that will be coming soon to your email box for groundbreaking for the Sue Anschutz Rogers Livestock Center and the Legacy Building that will be coming this September. Now that will be a great reason to celebrate. Hopefully by then, we'll actually have 100 million reasons to celebrate. The dollars raised have been nothing short of remarkable. But to me, the journey itself has been the incredible part of our campaign story. When we started this campaign, we had a big goal. We had even bigger faith that people would want to be a part of what we are building here. But with no track record, many told us we were crazy to even attempt such a goal. Yet here we sit on the verge of reaching $100 million and even raising that goal. We've achieved this success brick by brick, no pun intended, through donors giving anywhere from $10 to millions of dollars. We even have some repeat donors. After January 7th ribbon cutting, several of our Stockyards Event Center donors gave an additional $600,000. Thank you. To reach and go beyond our $100 million goal, I need each and every one of you and many more to participate in our campaign. We welcome everyone to be part of our campaign. Just visit our website for more information. And also, Angela Lawrence, our campaign executive director, is with you in the room today. So seek her out if you have any questions or want to make a gift on the spot. And now, a toast to all of you and a special thank you to our donors, the vice chairs, and our campaign committee. Cannot do it all without you. It's a team effort. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing all of you very soon. Cheers.
Pete has done extraordinary work over these last several years. And of course, he couldn't have done it without our capital campaign director, Angela Lawrence, who's right there. In fact, if you want to search her out, she's right there. Raise your hand, Angela. There she is. She is nothing short of extraordinary what she's accomplished as well. So it's been a great team and a great committee that's achieved, but we still have work to do. So let's now proceed with the election of the trustees. 4 new positions opened up this year, and the recommended replacements from the nominating committee that were mailed to you in the proxy materials are Bill Hamrick of Severance, Colorado, Eldon Krebs of Gordon, Nebraska, Sarah Kettle Shields of West Cliff, Colorado, and R. Stanton Dodge of Castle Rock, Colorado. Their bios were included in the proxy mailing. There are to be elected at this meeting 33 trustees to serve commencing upon their election for 3-year terms ending in 2025. The nominating committee has nominated 33 members to fill the seats of the 33 trustees whose terms expire at this meeting. Those names were on the 33 members to fill the seats of the 33 trustees whose terms expire at this meeting. Those names were on the proxies included in the notice of the meeting, which was sent to all members. Now I call on Secretary Mark Gustafson to read the names of the nominees recommended by the nominating committee and the board.
Election of the following members of the association to serve as trustees of the association, each for a term of 3 years. David Ames, Mark Anderson, Ry Austin, Glenn Benjamin, Randall Block, Art Bosworth, Dana Clapper Cohen, Pete Crow, Christopher Davis, Stanton Dodge, John Fryer, Bill Hamrick, Maggie Hanna, Khadijah Haynes, Heath Hutchinson, Corinne Hummel, Tom Corliss Sr., Stacy Corliss Guion, Eldon Krebs, Andy Love, Sharon Magnus Blake, Steve McCarthy, Colette Radcliffe, Kitty Rogers, W. Richard Scarlett, Alan Sears, Sarah Shields, David Soggy, Alan Stevens, Roberto Torres, Ann A. Walker, Bill Wanaka, and Stowe L. Whitwer, Jr.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. There are 33 nominations for 33 positions. Since there are no contests, I vote the proxies for the nominees as read by the Secretary and call upon those present to give their unanimous support of the nominees. All in favor of the nominees presented in the meeting signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? There are no opposition. I declare the nominees elected as trustees. Welcome, trustees, and all those members elected, and remind them to attend the trustees meeting immediately following this membership meeting. Before we conclude the members meeting, I want to point out a few things to you as you depart. First, we always need more volunteers. Paul mentioned earlier, I'll mention it again. Saw the chocolate, there's a contact Kelly Lombardi, There's different ways to be involved. We need support. We need volunteers. Secondly, you heard about the capital campaign. There's a desk, table right here. You can buy a brick, you can buy a brand, you can be involved any way you'd like. We need to get that 25% membership participation up to 100. That's our goal, so please help us by doing that. And Chloe and Angela will be there afterwards to answer any questions you might have. Lastly, I would like to thank all the hardworking National Western Stock Show staff that continue to do amazing things here at this institution, this organization. You all continue to rise to the occasion and take all you're asked to do at the highest level. Let's all have a round of applause for our staff at National. Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. The adjournment having been moved and seconded, all in favor? Heard a move and heard a second? I'm expediting, right? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much for being here today. See you January 7th, 2023, if not sooner. The trustee meeting will meet here in 5 minutes right up by this podium, so please come to the trustee meeting. All right, fellow trustees. Pursuant to the bylaws, trustees may attend this meeting in person or by proxy. We have taken a roll call of those in attendance and now ask the secretary to give the results of the roll call. Mr. Secretary.
The roll call by the secretary reflects more than a quorum of 33 trustees are present in person or by proxy. The meeting is now open for business.
The bylaws call for a reading of the minutes from the last trustee meetings. However, all minutes are available at the association office anytime for review. Do I have a motion to waive the reading of the minutes of the 2021 trustee meeting? Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I now invite Nancy Tour, board member and chair of the nominating committee, to give the report of the nominating committee.
6 current board members are up for renewal at this annual meeting. The nominating committee recommends a yes vote for the following current board members to remain on the board for a period of up to 3 years. Pete Coors, Sue Ann Schutz-Rogers, Don Elliman, Mike Long, Nancy Tour, Bruce Wagner. I will now turn it back over to Chairman Jones to call for a vote.
Do I have a motion to approve those board members just brought forth by the nominating committee to serve on the board of directors? First and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Election of the association officers. The nominating committee has put forth the following names for positions on the board as association officers. Chairman Doug Jones, Vice Chairman Barth Whittam, Secretary Mark Gustafson, Treasurer Bruce Wagner. I will now turn it back over to Chairman Jones to call for the vote.
Thank you, Nancy. Do I have a motion to approve those names submitted for association officers? First and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any old business? Any new business? Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again for being here.